Take the steering wheel in your life with my book, The Driver's Seat. Climb out of life's back seat and step into your God-given purpose. This isn't just a book, it's a wake-up call to action. As the author, I guide you through realizing your true potential and living with purpose. Break free from life's back seat and those seat belts and seize control of your own destiny. Your purpose isn't just a dream, it's your reality waiting to be lived. So discover this book right now at what'sgood.work. Click on the link that says buy my books. Take charge and transform your own journey today.
Podcast etiquette, man. You're not supposed to start building something and then just like dip out on it. But, you know, I've really been working on, you know, trying to build my brand, build my company. Just to give y'all, you know, long story short, man, I started with, you know, my vision of doing music and getting out what I consider like untapped positive messages in music and writing and all of that. And I started calling it What's Good. I didn't really build it into a firm company or vision or anything like that. And started going, right? I'm a leader and a professional in the tech world and automation and AI space. So, you know, I started flavoring a little bit of my podcast with that. I called it What's Good. And I thought it was a little bit misleading, right? So it was like, it's not always just what's good. It's sometimes talking about leadership. Sometimes I kind of want to step in and talk about some other stuff, man. Like I love hip hop. I love sports. I love movies. I love all of that. And I just felt like I was in a box a little bit. So I went back to the drawing board, man, on the whole company, right? And what it came out is open book media. And that's what the whole company is now, right? My books, my music, the podcast me and my wife host, which is the Open Book Podcast. And it's really all about, one, being an open book, more transparency in life. So I'm going to be an open book here on this podcast and getting all of the messages out, being all you. So I got to be all me in order to set that example. So with no further ado, I rebranded this podcast as On Everything, right? On everything. Jay Floyd on everything. So this is our first episode. I want to say thank you for listening. Anybody who is listening because you were a subscriber to the What's Good podcast, thank you for listening. You know what I mean? I hope you are pleased with the new content. If you're not, blame it on the RSS feed because I use the same RSS feed. I feel like this is just an evolution of me. But again, this is what I want open book to be, that I'm an open book. I'm growing. I'm learning. I'm learning that I am more than just leadership podcasts. I am more than just telling you how I manage people and resources at work. I want to show you how to manage people and resources all over the place. I want to show you some things that are just on my mind. I want to show you some things that are just funny. I want you to just figure out who I am and know who I am. I have some books coming out. I'm actually working on my first fiction book right now. I'm super excited about that. Man, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio in the 80s. And man, Cleveland and the Midwest of America in the 80s, specifically for the black and urban culture that I was in. Whew, man, these stories have not been told. You know, so if you're rocking with me, or if you are interested in that kind of thing, I hope you're rocking with me because I have a push to get out a lot of those stories. If you have those kind of stories too, reach out to me because I would love to partner with you and help get those stories told. So yeah, let's get into this, man. This episode, I figured, you know, if I'm going to break the shell, if you're going to break the wall, let's break the wall all the way. So this first one is called Trading Places, right? I'm going to go all the way conspiracy theory. I was thinking about this. I was chopping it up with my homeboys, Speed and Siege and Haiku. Yeah, that's Robert, Brandon, and Toby, you know, government name wise. Shout out to all y'all. I hope y'all listening. Y'all better be listening to my pod, man. But yeah, I was chopping it up with my homeboys about this, and we were talking about the Kendrick and Drake beef. And let me give you full context on this. I'm a rapper. Right? You may have heard my What's Good album that came out a couple of years ago. I'm an independent artist. I put out my own music. I work with Sean Charles, who is a super dope producer who is in the industry. I wouldn't call him an independent artist. He has, you know, put some records on the game and and many others. Hopefully, some big names coming up really soon, or some things that I heard recently that he told me, but I can't say them out loud because they're not finalized yet. And that's how the industry works, right? There's a lot of secrets. There's a lot of things in motion that people don't know about behind scenes. But I've been a rapper for a long time, and I've been a rapper since I was in high school, and actually before that, right? And me and my homeboys, I'm in a group called Rhyme Royal with my homeboy Speed. I'm in an entire family of rappers called the 12 Monkeys that we've been in for probably like 2 decades, right? And we were heating things up on the independent circuit in Cleveland and Buffalo, New York. We were doing it. We were touring. We rocking with some people that ended up taking some other ventures, right? Like we were in a crew. In our crew was my man Blitz Bazuwale, who is the director of the recent Color Purple movie. He's in our crew. We all of that, right? Like we were doing it, and we were a lot of dudes who were basically like Renaissance people. We had a lot of different talents, but we came from mostly Cleveland, Ohio, and we hit a wall. Like once we were in our late 20s, we started to recognize what that wall was. It started to be more and more clear that this is not an evenly distributed game, right? The people that you are seeing, if you are a casual listener of music or consumer of culture these days, I don't even know if people are music listeners purely today. They're mostly consumers of content, right? And some of that content is music, and some of it's a video with music playing behind it. Some of it's somebody reacting to a music, but there's music involved. If you're just a listener of music, you may not understand all the things that go on behind the scenes, and that those people that you like, that you feel like, man, these people are dope. I'm hearing them because they the dopest people, the dopest artists out. That is not true at all. Trust me, the most popular people on your Spotify Unwrapped, and we'll get to Spotify maybe in another episode. The most popular people on your Spotify Unwrapped are not necessarily the most talented people you could possibly be hearing. They're the people you have the most access to. And sometimes you're not even choosing them. They're just coming up next in your song list, right? So I got this theory. I know, let's fast forward. I want to give you all that context to show you who I am and the perspective that I come from as a longtime independent artist who is frustrated, who is jaded, who does have some negative views. Or I wouldn't say negative, more like maybe a bit extremely grounded views, maybe a bit cynical about the music industry, right? Or the machine that chooses artists to become popular figures in culture, right? That's who I am. So with all that, let's fast forward to Drake versus Kendrick. Let me start by saying I'm actually not a big fan of either one of these dudes, right? Drake obviously has blown up over the last 10 to 15 years. And I remember when I first heard him, I was like, yo, this dude can go, man. He can flow. Dude is nice. But I remember thinking 3 things. He's biracial, he's Canadian, and he's a former TV child star. And in my history of everything that I knew about hip hop, I felt like hip hop is way too close-minded to let you have those 3 strikes. It's not going to let it happen. Maybe 1 or possibly 2. But if you have all 3 of those things against you, there's no way you're going to make it. So that was my take on Drake. So he comes out rapping. He's good. He's really good. He's good enough to stand in there. But you got these things called like the Freshman 15, right? Where you have these media outlets who are trying to tell listeners, these are going to be the next people you're going to like, right? So that sounds real good, right? That sounds pretty altruistic on the surface, right? Oh, this great media outlet who understands hip hop is scouring the country to find the next, the under-discovered talent and the people I'll see next. Come on, man. Y'all know that's not how it goes. So Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole, they all end up being in this series, right? They end up getting profiled in this Freshman 15 type thing. But come on, let's just be real. That's those spots were paid for. Those spots were bought and paid for, right? I will say, I know a lot of people will be like, well, why are you not a fan of Kendrick? Kendrick's dope. Kendrick's the culture. Two reasons. One, I'm a really, really lyrical person. One of the things that is always throwing me off about Kendrick is he has loose rhyme schemes, right? It's like he'll say two things that don't exactly rhyme, right? And it's like, and it just kind of like annoys me. But I do think dude is a elite, top-notch lyricist. Elite, top-notch. Like, right? He's up there, right? That's just a nitpick that bugs me. So let me get on to my theory. We all know what happened, right? Drake and Kendrick get into the beef over the big three. It ends up being, and I think this is your first clue, it ends up being, the beef itself ends up being a worldwide phenomenon, right? Like, you have every news outlet reporting on it. You have Saturday Night Live doing skits on it. You got, people from other countries are talking. It's everywhere. It's never happened in a rap battle before. Never. So that's our first clue of what I want to talk about, right? My theory, and you could chop this up and split it out and record this to say, put it as your headline for this episode. Drake versus Kendrick Lamar is the exact same thing as the Trading Places movie. Y'all ever seen Trading Places? Trading Places starring Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy. That's what Kendrick and Drake is, right? Let me explain this. I know I would say it's not a conspiracy theory, but it is a theory that does involve a conspiracy. So it's a conspiracy theory. But follow me. Okay. First of all, if you don't know the movie, I suggest you go look at it. It's actually probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Came out around 1983, 84, somewhere around there. First Eddie Murphy movie, I believe, was a banger. First or second. I think it might have been right after 48 Hours. But in the movie, Eddie Murphy, you were introduced to Eddie Murphy. His name is playing a character called Billy Ray Valentine. And Billy Ray Valentine is a homeless hustler. He is on the streets. He is trying to scam people out of money. He's pretending to have no legs to beg people for change. I mean, dude is just like the dregs of society. He's low. And he's in front of this building where all of this rich society is meeting. These financial stockbrokers are meeting, right? And Dan Aykroyd plays Lewis Winthorpe, who is one of the most prominent young stockbrokers. He's the dude. He's the hot shot dude. He's got the wife or the girlfriend that he's going to marry. They go to a country club. All of his friends are in the same country club. They all meet together. They all go to the same tailors. His life is set, but his life is also structured by the people he works for. He works for the Duke brothers, right? The Duke brothers. And the Duke brothers are these old guys who basically run everything. And they have built this life with this money flowing through. But guess what? It's all artificial, right? They control the stock market. They manipulate the prices. They, when it comes to orange juice and pork bellies and gold, they are getting inside information and they're tweaking it and they're utilizing it. Insider trading. They are manipulating artificially the markets to stay on top of the game and not only stay rich, but keep their people rich. So there's Duke Brothers stock market firm, right? And Lewis Winthorpe is a beneficiary of that. He's the hot shot dude. This dude is Drake, right? He's on top. He believes he's everything. He got the clothes, he's got the everything, the trappings, he's got the house, everything in Manhattan. He's doing it, right? And Billy Ray Valentine is out on the street hustling, right? He knows that street life, right? And the Duke brothers, who are used to manipulating people's lives, to them, their lives are nothing. They're just stuff to be played with. They see Billy Ray Valentine outside of their building and the police chase him and he runs into their building and the police pull guns on him. So as they're talking about it, they're like, man, this dude is a piece of trash, man. This dude is nothing. And the one brother is like, you know what though? If he had all the benefits that our people have, he probably would make something of himself. And his brother was like, nah, he is who he is. He was born like that. He can't be better than that. So they make a bet for $1 that they can utilize their power and their benefits and swap these people's lives, right? And they do it, right? They go get Billy Ray Valentine, they pick him up, and they give him like money, they give him clothes, they give him Lewis Winthorpe's house. And Lewis Winthorpe, they set him up. They accuse him of stealing money and make him and make him look bad because the whole thing is set up on this facade. So the moment the facade is broken, all of his people are looking like, ugh, I don't want to be around you. His boys are like, we're not hanging with you. His girlfriend is like, ugh, can't touch you. That's disgusting. So he ends up getting set up. They plant money on him, say that he stole stuff. They plant drugs on him, and he ends up going to jail, getting beat up. He got no clothes. And then they send a hooker to come, besmirch his reputation even more. So the hooker's coming to see him and give him some drugs at the same time that his girlfriend and everybody. So obviously this spreads around that this dude is doing some unspeakable things. He needs to be ejected from our community. We can't have this. At the same time, Billy Ray Valentine is like, man, ooh, wow, I get the jacuzzi, the hot tub. Y'all just giving me this? Man, this is crazy. I get to go back and tell my homeboys that I'm now rich. But the thing they didn't think about was that Billy Ray Valentine, it was really smart. Even though he didn't have the advantages, once they swapped him, he started seeing and putting the pieces together that the Duke brothers were not on the up and up. They were artificially manipulating the numbers and the market. They artificially manipulated the market so that they can stay on top. And what Billy Ray Valentine does, he tries to speak up. He like, yo, I'm seeing some stuff that ain't right. I've been looking in these books. And they're like, yo, why you looking in the details? You're not supposed to look in the details. I'm not saying that maybe Kendrick Lamar might find himself looking into the details. But I am saying Drake right now has a lawsuit, some preliminary suits that where he would like to expose the Duke brothers here, right? And by the Duke brothers, I mean UMG and Lucien Grange, who's the head of UMG, the Universal Music Group. The Universal Music Group, which is a group of record labels, including Capitol, including a bajillion of them, right? Drake is under this label, is under this umbrella. Kendrick is under this umbrella. Anybody you can think of that's hot, Taylor Swift is under this umbrella. Anybody you can think of that's in control and you can't get away from their music. Anybody you can think of who's shooting star and coming up, TDE is under this. Doechii is under this umbrella. This is the Duke brothers. That's my theory. Drake, who is Lewis Winthorpe in this analogy, feels like I have been artificially thrown out and I want to expose you for artificially manipulating numbers. Now, to the point of many people who hear that and have and they initially feel like, but Drake though, but you were the main beneficiary. Yeah. But when Lewis Winthorpe went to take down the Duke brothers, he had to face the fact that he was also the beneficiary of it too. And his whole life that he had led was a lie. And he hadn't earned all of that. They were manipulating numbers. And in the end, he didn't end up going back to that life. He ended up staying with the hooker that gave him the drugs. He ended up on a whole nother path. So, yeah, is Drake showing what some people would call hypocrisy? I wouldn't call that exactly hypocrisy. I would call that potentially exposing something he don't want to be a part of no more. Now, you might say also, why would you not bring it up when you was the one, when you was Lewis Winthorpe? Look, man, every machine is built so that the chosen one cannot destroy it. That's why they give you the stuff. That's why he had the life. That's why he had the house. That's why he had the money. That's why they gave Billy Ray Valentine the money, the house. The first thing they do is give you the things of your desires, your dreams. So now you can't go against them or you will lose that. unless you wait until you got enough financial security and maybe potentially enough legal security where you feel like you might try to swing against the giant. I'm not saying this is 100% exactly what's happening. This is my theory, y'all. It's my theory. Have I watched Trading Places potentially too many times? Probably. Probably. But look, you can't tell me the things don't add up nicely. What if it was like that, y'all? We don't know what it is because all of this is behind closed doors. Now, the good thing about this, the dopest thing, which probably would please J. Cole, at the end of Trading Places, Louis Winthrop and Billy Ray Valentine are best friends, and they off kicking it, and they get rich, and they take down the Duke brothers, and they all floating on an island together, right? And they take down the Duke brothers. Now, if you keep watching that universe, the Trading Places universe, you'll see that the Duke brothers end up getting some money from Prince Hakeem in Coming to America when he threw the money out. But neither here nor there. At the end of that movie, Kendrick and Drake are together. Drake has a new life that's not like that other life and is more down to earth. And they kicking it and they have carved a path. Now, are there other Duke brothers out there still manipulating? Obviously. But did they swing and take down one of them? Yep. And now because of that, they swung and flipped it and got rich. So they can escape the game. So my true theory is, what is Drake trying to do? Is Drake upset that UMG has a new golden child? Or is Drake saying, you know what, this life I'm living is artificial and I want out. I want to expose it so I can get out and possibly get back into the industry that I first started in, which is acting, movies, TV shows. Which one? I think it's both. I think Drake is upset that he was ousted for, or at least, I won't say he was ousted first because he probably was ousted after he had a problem with it. I think Drake is upset that there is a new person on the block. There's always going to be a new person, right? When he was on top, he was taking somebody's spot. So there's always going to be a new person. And I think he is upset about that. But do I think he also wants to get out? Probably. Anybody who would try to bring these exposure lawsuits, which are long shots, David versus Goliath type situations, anybody who would try something like that, sound like they want to get out. Now, what does get out look like? I mean, I don't know. 50 Cent got out. Remember, I mean, keep in mind, 50 Cent was that dude. He's one of the people before Drake who was unstoppable, right? Like everything he did was ridiculously platinum and diamond. And now 50 Cent, when was the last time 50 Cent made a song that you heard? He's still making music. When's the last time you heard his songs? He doesn't have that machine behind him. And he knows it. So he went into the other industry, which is acting, making movies, right? And keep in mind, during the beef, when the beef was hot, one of the only people to speak up for Drake was 50 Cent, who said, Drake, really, you can't say it's a loss because he didn't lose anything. And in fact, I got some meetings with him to talk about some TV and movie stuff. You see what I'm saying? It ain't conspiracy theory. It might add up, y'all. It might add up. Follow me. Okay? Follow me. This might be his way to get out. It is, like I said, it's David Goliath stuff. Come on. You're going up against Universal Music Group. I mean, it's a group for a reason. There's strength in numbers, right? It's like going up against a gang, not just one gang faction, but an umbrella of gangs. You know, not just one set. You going up against a whole neighborhood of multiple sets. You know, you going up against the mafia, not just one family, multiple families, all relying on that money coming through. So that's what he's swinging up against. But I mean, he's taking a decent shot, right? He's taking the shot he can. He moved to Houston, Texas, made Texas his residence, and one of the suits is filed in Texas court. So he's aiming for obviously a conservative viewpoint in the judge. So, you know, let's see. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, man. Listen, I do love movies. Trading. And by the way, if you don't get anything out of this, you should at least go watch Trading Places one good time, right? Trading Places is a classic. It's one of Eddie Murphy's first movies where we got to see his genius. One of Dan Aykroyd's early movies, we get to see his genius. There's just so much in it. I would also want to talk about the concept of Trading Places is about nature versus nurture, right? I said that the Duke brothers made a bet. The question was, are we who we are because of how we're born? Is Billy Ray Valentine just always going to be a thug and a hustler and a criminal because he's black? Is that just who he is? And is Louis Winthorpe going to always be successful and clean cut and honest and all of that because he's white and blue blooded, right? Is that true? Or are we more likely products of our environment, right? Is the environment what's causing the success and lack of success? I think that's applicable in life. It's something I've always liked to study. Even back in college, loved having those conversations. And when I was traveling doing music, loved having those kind of conversations with folks. Obviously, it's probably just a sliding scale somewhere. Sliding scale on, maybe we do have some DNA in us. I think I've seen some evidence of that. People who've never even been around their parents still exhibiting the traits of their parents in their decision making and all of that. But also the environment having a ton to do with things. Yes, I've seen both. So it's probably just a sliding scale, what I would guess. But I think also not just in life, this is applicable in music. So me as an artist, as somebody, I felt like I was, even though I'm really hard on myself and I was always trying to grow and get better. And I always felt like my last effort was lesser and had weaknesses and holes and I was trying to get better. I still consider myself, I look back on my catalog and I consider myself a supreme lyricist, right? Was I maybe overly cerebral for the hip hop landscape to be popular widely? Yeah, I probably was. We got told to dumb down our music a lot. Me specifically, lacking focus and having a lot of topics to discuss. I mean, maybe that's showing up here in my podcast with me changing from what's good to on everything to try to find a better brand that fits the way my mind works, which is not locked down to one topic. I'm going to go all over the place and I'm going to get deep and I'm going to want to get philosophical and then I'm going to want to back off and be funny and light. Maybe that's hard to channel into a really super popular artist. So maybe that has something to do with my lack of success. Or maybe I was just born in Cleveland, Ohio, and the powers that be that created the opportunities in hip hop didn't reach out to Cleveland, Ohio very often, right? We can maybe count 2, 3 tops who really got super opportunities to display lyrical prowess. And that's amongst the hundreds of lyrically supreme artists that I've met in Cleveland, Ohio, right? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the fact that we never paid for play. Maybe the fact that we took the route of buying our own equipment and producing our own music, and it cut us out of that network of, and we wrote our own lyrics and produced our own music. So we were not in the circles, this network of artists who are producing music for other producers and writing music for other writers. And sometimes I think maybe if I would have just became a writer, there's more opportunities for me to get inside that machine, right? So the question is it nature or is it nurture when it comes to music? Is Kendrick Lamar and even Drake before him, are they on top because they are the dopest artists available? Or is there a machine telling you that they're on top? Is there a selection, an algorithm that selects not like us after your song played, after the song you chose is over and you don't choose another song? Does it automatically play not like us? Does it automatically play something by Taylor Swift? On Christmas, do we hear Mariah Carey without requesting it? Answer that question, right? If you can answer that question, then that can probably shed a different light on everything we just discussed. When Christmas time comes around, do you hear Mariah Carey without requesting to hear it? All right, y'all, that's all I wanted to talk about. I'm going to be back on here with way more content. I'm going to jump all over the place, man, because you know what the name of this podcast is now? On everything. All right, man, thanks for rocking with me. Y'all be easy.
Ready to revolutionize your content creation? Discover Deep Brain AI, the cutting-edge solution in AI video synthesis. Create lifelike AI videos with ease, ideal for presentations, educational content, or just boosting your digital marketing. Your AI avatar waits to deliver messages with natural expressions and natural voices. It'll be just like hearing and seeing you and me. Experience the future of communication with Deep Brain AI. Discover more right now at what'sgood.work and click on our link that says visit our sponsor.